Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all in today's webinar. Hope I am audible to all. If I am audible to all, kindly click on raise hand button, which is on your left hand side. Now we'll be starting today's webinar. Today's webinar topic: Catch the trend early, stay longer with Super Trend. And speaker of today's webinar, Miss Janvi Kalrani. Now I would like to invite Janvi.
Thank you, Avinash sir, for introducing me. Hello everyone, myself Janvi. In today's webinar, we'll be going through with the super trend strategy. The topic name of the today's webinar is Catch the Trend Early, Stay Longer with Super Trend. Now we'll be merging super trend with other indicators as weighted moving average and relative strength. So these are the like two indicators which will guide us to take buy and the sell indication, and the strategy would be on the daily time frame. Now I'll hide myself and we'll start with the webinar. Okay. Moving to the second slide. Now this is the flow of the webinar where I'll be introducing the indicators to you. Then we'll go ahead with the identifying the super trend. Basically, we'll see like the formulas of it. We'll see some examples where the super trend has given the example, and we'll be understanding super trend. Then we'll have a third slide will be about the average, where we'll be seeing the average indication with super trend and merging how they are combining together. And same with the average also, like understanding the weighted average formula. And then we'll be having a session of strategy. So we'll cover the strategy in the last part. Okay. Now, coming to the third slide. Now, this is the introduction. So, basically, what is my today's flow of the webinar we have discussed earlier. Now, this is what the throughout the session, what the strategy will look like is been introduced to everyone over here. Now, first is the main and the base is obviously the super trend, which will follow. With super trend, I've been merging the weighted moving average 21 period, and with that, I'm using also the relative strength. Now, all the three indicators, and then along with the volume, we'll be seeing like basically the indication on the daily time frame. If you want to expand the time frames, whether to weekly or maybe like intraday as well, you can switch that up. Also, also an option for the same strategy. Now, a bit of indication what I've written in the introduction part is the super trend indicator identifying like highlighting the points super trend weighted moving average relative strength and combining all of three together and taking a decision on the basis of the strategy but also looking at the price action as well. So that is what we'll be going through. Now, coming to the main slide, which is about the super trend. Now, here you can see what we are referring to is the major part is super trend. As well, you can see on the right hand side in the image part also, whereas I've indicated a downward movement and the upward movement with the help of the super trend. As you can see, this is the signal candle over here, which is colored in a different. The candle has been indicated in a different color so that it indicates you the change of the direction or change of the, as I can understand that everyone use the super trend regularly but with the different parameters, or maybe like you might go ahead with the same default parameters. So understanding, you all have a good understanding about the super trend. Those who don't have the understanding, those who have voted for occasionally first time today or have heard it like all those, so we'll be understanding what super trend basically does is and how it gets calculated. Now it helps us to focus what the market is doing, like you get a clear idea of whether the downward movement is going or the upward zone is getting created, so you definitely know with the help of super trend because it directly indicates you. Now when the price is below the super trend, you know that the downside movement is created, and when you know the price is above the super trend, the upward movement is created. Now there are reversal signs which indicates you the buying and selling zones, provides a simple framework to identify the trend direction, whether you can either use in the daily time frame, whether you can use in the weekly time frame. It clearly gives you an idea of the trend direction whichever time frame you use. Encourage disciplined rule based decision making. So it is mostly like disciplined. There is no continuous like lacking of the indicator. You definitely know whether it's in the down sideways. You get an idea that basically it's in the sideways zone or the upside or downside. Then it helps us to take an entry on this basis. It helps us keep the even the stop loss as well with the help of super trend. And it is also helpful in the part where if you want to have a clear understanding what the trend is indicating us, we definitely can take a help of super trend as well. Now, the goal is not to predict the next move, but to participate in the trend that already exists. Now, you want to participate, this will help you to understand the trend direction, and you can also participate in the zone that is getting created. Now, moving ahead to the second next slide. Now, this is related to the average. Now, may I know like if you all have a clear view of what the SOPA trend is? Should I move ahead? Should I explain a little more about it? The formula part will be done after the average is done. So if you all can answer on the answer by typing yes in the chat box, uh, it would help us to understand that you have understood the super trend, what super trend is basically used for. And if you want me to explain a little more onto the topic, I can go ahead with that part also. Okay, we've got answers that you all have understood. Thank you for replying. Now going ahead with the weighted moving average part. Now this is what the weighted average moving will look like on the chart when we apply it. Now it gives you a clear, like it's very close to the price. The price are up above the weighted moving average, which is indicating the upward zone is definitely created. And then you can see here in the picture as well that there was a sideways zone was also created a bit, um, and it was a clear view that weighted moving average is indicating that it is a sideways zone. Now now you might be using the normal average, like simple moving average, exponential moving average. The formula and the weighted moving average holds a bit of good understanding of the trend direction again. Now it identifies whether the movement is strong or it is a weak movement. So here you can see it's clearly like indicating an upside zone. From here point on onwards, we had seen that the zone was created till a good zone, good upside till this red candle as well. And afterwards we saw sideways, and again we got the direction for the upper zone itself. So as you can see, the zone is very clearly available to see on the chart. With the weighted moving average, it also makes you gain confidence in the particular stock if you are going ahead with the buying point of view. If you are analyzing the stock for the next step towards it, it can give you a clear identifying. It can clearly give you answer to your questions by seeing how the movement is getting created. It use price interaction, mostly like prices are used definitely in the weighted moving average. And also it is the formula is basically it gives importance to all, but in the nearest, like the last few trading days, most of the importance are given to that particular closing. Now this is basically going ahead with the formula of understanding how the super trend is basically used. Now the base of the super trend is obviously, if everyone is not aware, it's basically used average true range, that is ATR. Then for the upper band is basically nothing but if you see the super trend above the price, and the lower band is basically the super trend below the price. Now that is what the indications and the zones are calculated sort of. Now high and low have given a lot of importance, so you can see high plus low divide by 2. Now the multiplier is basically the period that you are applying, whether it could be one, whether it could be two, whether it could be 3 periods. So that is basically the multiplier, and the average to range is calculated, and then you get the value of the super trend. Now for the lower band, we basically deduct the multiplier and the average true range, whereas in the upper band we add the multiplier and the average true range over here. So that is basically the formula for the super trend. Now here is the basically what we basically have to see overall is when price close above the super trend turn bullish. So that is basically what will see the green color which gets indicated on the chart while you have applied the super trend. If the price has closed above the super trend, it indicates you the green color, and when the price closed below the super trend band, it turns a red color. So that's basically the overview of the super trend, whereas basically it takes the average true range formula. The base of the super trend is average true range. Now I'll just go to the chart and I'll show you how to apply uh, the super trend um, on the chart. Okay, so now this is basically a plain chart. Now I've taken Control N and I've taken a normal Nifty chart. So this is the Nifty chart that we have. To apply the super trend, basically you just have to go into the study section and then you press SU basically over here. Then we can click on in all the time frames so that in every time frame the super trend will be applied. Then you come to the parameter part. Now the factor is the multiplier that you are putting to the super trend range. So now basically that you can use is either 1, either 2, or either 3. Now 3 is the default one which everyone sort of used the super trend. So that is over here. Then we have the average period that we've added over here as a 10. And then in the display, if you come, you can change the color whichever you want. That is basically green and red. Now I just added on the chart as it is. Here you can see a clear view where the price has closed kind of above, the super trend had turned green, whereas the price has closed below, the super trend had turned red. But also the direction has moved it also with the calculation parts and everything. So that is what we can see. Now it clearly gives you a good idea of that the buying signal is getting generated over here, the sell signal is generated over here. You can see the downside is going to continue. So that is basically gives you a clear idea of how the zone for either of the chart, whichever chart you use, basically not just about the Nifty but also about the stock as well. So you get the clear view of the direction how it is generated, whether it's in the upside or downside zone or whether it's in the sideways zone. Now in the sideways you would be able to see that the super trend becomes a bit flattened, and here we can see the sideways zone has started from here itself and it was over here also. So this is basically how you can apply the super trend on the chart. Okay, now moving to the weighted moving average. Now weighted moving average, like I said, that it uses not just the current period but it uses the every day sort of. It gives importance to the recent prices. Responds faster than the simple moving average, helps confirm the strength and the momentum, act as dynamic support and resistance. So that is also there. So it can give you a good clear idea. Now I'll go back again on the chart and I'll just add like average. To add the average, I'll basically have to use just normal average, again applying on the in all time frames. Now what I'll do is I'll use weighted 21 to give you an idea. So I'll just delete this one here. Super trend has been deleted. Now in this trend also, if you would be if you can clearly see when the trends are moving, it gives you very early signals rather than the late signals. So it continues really fast, as you can see even over at this particular point in the Nifty as well. So it had kind of given you a cutting average downward zone as well in the Nifty, whereas over here also it had given a good cutting average downward zone. Similarly यहाँ पे भी आपको एक indication मिला था when the upward zone was getting created over here, it gave you a clear indication of the upward zone as well. So not just in the normal time frame, but also if I turned it to the weekly time frame, I can see the good zone has been created. So rather than using like exponential moving average, I can also use the weighted moving average, because everyone in the market knows about the exponential moving average. If you use weighted moving average, maybe like early signals or early indications of what is happening in the market can be predicted from our end. So to it makes you understand more clearly. Now if you add the super trend to this in the chart, so you know that the direction has started somewhere, like basically average had given you here, the super trend had given you a reconfirmation over here. We could see that the zone definitely started to boom a lot from this particular candle onwards, when the average has cutted upward and it had given you a zone. So you can see the clarity a chart can bring with the help of indicators, but obviously the indicators are not the only and ideal thing to look out for. We will obviously merge the price action as well, but this is just an help towards understanding the momentum of the market. It just helps us to understand key if I can enter or should I just stop as of now. Okay. Parameters of WMA is, as of now, will be using weighted 21. So it's that. Okay. So as of now, it works in all the time frame very clearly. You can see in the weekly also it is giving us the good indication. Now if I turn to the intraday chart also, and if I bring it into the 5 minutes, I can also refer to this at this particular point onwards, and also I can have to definitely see the volume also. So we definitely go ahead with the confirmation part. Thank you everyone for answering the poll. Now this is basically the strategy. Now the strategy part starts over here. How and what are we going to look out for? Now first is identify the signal candle. What is your signal candle? Basically will be, if I go ahead in the chart now, I will open the super trend strategy chart, which is into the protected screen. It will be known as a super trend strategy. I will guide you to later download the file as well. So this is the super trend strategy. Now here you can see I have applied the super trend and the weighted moving average with the relative strength as well on the downside, and with the volume also. So there are three indicators merged, and volume has been respected over here as much. Now what I can see overall over here is, let me just hide my tool so it will give a clear idea. Now this is a Nifty plain chart. Now what in Nifty we are getting indication is basically, as you can see, I've gotten a super trend giving me a downside signal over here when the prices are closing below the super trend and the super trend has gone upward. Now यहाँ पे the white candle which I've drawn and made it clear for you all that it is a signal candle. Okay, now this is a signal candle. What I do is the very next candle has to close either like below if the super trend is giving us the bearish zone, and if it is giving us a bullish zone just like this, we will look out if it closes above the high or the previous close. So that is like a combination. Either you would see if it's closing above the previous candle's high or previous candle's close. So that is two zone, one for bearish, one for bullish. Now, once if it has closed nicely above the previous candle high or close, I would start taking a trade from the third candle opening onwards. Okay, so I would enter in this candle basically at the open of 23,909. That is what I would go ahead with. Now I can stay for basically for a week or so, because this is a daily time frame chart. But if you see a good potential that the super trend is giving you a good direction for the upper side, we will go ahead with the rally and we will continue the rally sort of. Now you may say, what is the weighted moving average doing over here and what is the relative strength helping us? Now, if you see weighted moving average, it is also indicating you whether the zone is either for the downside or the upside. Now, clearly over here in this particular phase, we were sort of getting a sideways sort of zone. But as you may see, the super weighted moving average started giving you a signal where it cut it and closed downward, and then you got to see a confirmation towards the downward side also. And then you may see that the Nifty had fallen continuously after that for a really long time, and this is almost like a 15 candle we can see a zone got created. With this, at this particular time, I can also see that my relative strength has started giving me a downside direction, whereas over here the relative strength was in the upside zone. So you can clearly see if I merge like 1, 2 and 3, I can get a clear idea that either of the indicator giving me a पॉज मोमेंट लाइक बेसिकली कि नहीं अभी ये तो बुलिश बता रहा है बट बेरिश जोन चल रहा है तो होल्ड ऑन बिकॉज हियर और समवेयर नियर टू you would get the signal for the downside. So this is only like if you're looking for the chart point of view, the strategy is definitely very strictly created. But when you come and see like chart, you know that the sideways हो रहा है थोड़ा downside बन सकता है तो आप chart को read out कर सकते हो with the help of the 3 indicators that I've used. Now again, when you see the daily time frame currently, now in the recent time, you can see we got the white color candle. The super trend had turned upward. We've gotten a good closing of the next candle itself, closing below the previous low and the previous closing as well. So I can see my confirmation is done very nicely. My weighted moving average is giving me a downside cut as well. It is also confirming. Now here at the time of the confirmation candle, you can see the relative strength is also turned downside and turned below 50 as well. So what I can do is I will start selling the stock from this particular point onwards and I will wait for the downside zone. Okay. So this is for the Nifty point, but we will definitely, if you're using the Nifty, I would suggest you to go ahead with the intraday time frame to understand a clear view. But on the daily also, you can see a larger picture if you're holding a Nifty for a really long time. Okay, now I can give you an example of a stock. So basically, this is what I've written over here: your signal candle, your wait for the confirmation candle, and your entry execution. As of now, is it clear the setup what I've explained it to you, or should I go ahead again? Can you answer? For the relative strength, it's a default parameter I've kept like 1450 so that you can see. I'll just guide you to explain how to add the relative strength on the chart. So basically, this is my normal chart of the Nifty. S relative. This is relative strength indicate index, uh, and it is not your normal RSI. It looks like a normal RSI, but it gives you like ऊपर जा रहा है नीचे जा रहा है like green color, red color, and the white color. It gets you denoted very easily. आपको पता चल जाएगा. This is 3 color that you can use in all time frame. You can apply and then you can add as it is. So this is what the indicator is basically. I mean orange color. Sorry. I'll just show you the chart again. Your super trend strategy and then आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो कि येलो कलर जो है वो सुपर ट्रेंड का है the orange color is for the weighted moving average and this is over here is relative strength and on the bottom is the volume if everyone can answer like if as of now if this is clear to you so it would help us to understand so that I can move ahead with the strategy, like giving you in some examples. Kindly repeat when to take position after the confirmation. So, and when to exit. Yes. Okay. Deepak sir, it's clear. Praveen sir will guide you. Now, आप यहाँ पे देख सकते हो that this is your signal candle. Now the white color candle is your signal candle, so it will make it clear to you when you see on the chart. We'll be providing the charts also for you all, so that you can go ahead with that as well. So white color candle is a signal candle. If it closes above the previous candle high for the bullish rally, or it closes above the previous close. Okay, so it's like either previous high or previous close. If it closes above this two zone, we will start taking the entry from the third candle onwards. So the third candle is over here, 23909 you can see. एंड यहाँ पे आप डाउन साइड में क्या देखोगे कि अगर वो डाउन साइड बेरिश जोन क्रिएट कर रहा है तो नेक्स्ट कैंडल अगर उसके लो के नीचे क्रिएट कर रही है, प्रीवियस लो के नीचे या फिर प्रीवियस क्लोज के नीचे एक क्लोजिंग मिल रहा है, we'll go ahead for the downside zone. Now I can show you a good example in the intraday time frame as well. Now this is a simply 1 minute time frame. If you are doing Nifty, I usually sometimes nowadays I'm seeing on the 1 minute time frame, so I have good examples over here. Now यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो I got a good signal at this particular point. Yesterday we already know that the Nifty was a kind of a roller coaster zone created, but signals were very evident and it made clear to a lot while actually seeing. So यहाँ पे आप देखोगे ना, at again 223 I got a signal for the down upside, like it was reversing from here. I can see that the zone got created nicely above the previous candle high or previous candle close also. From here is where basically third candle onwards I got my indication for the weighted moving average which was indicating upward. अब यहाँ पे ही कैंडल में देखोगे तो relative strength also turned positive from 48 to 55. Now from this point of onwards we will start basically entering into the stock which or index basically as of here. 23,316 was the opening candle and you can see it got created a high of 23,336 as well. So there was a good rally for a good zone that we can see at the second half period as well. आप अगर ये in the मॉर्निंग अर्ली ट्रेंड में देखोगे तो यहाँ पे एक इंडिकेशन मिला था at 12:30 where I got the downward indication. My candle nicely closed below the low, whereas my weighted moving average acted very nicely because यहाँ पे ही मुझे कट मिल चुका था weighted का. Then my relative strength also given me a downside zone because यहाँ से वो red on a turn चालू कर दिया था. From this candle onwards, if I basically shorted or I would have bought a put, I could see a downside was nicely created. So this is what I can see. The zone was created. Now this are like you can ignore such kind of zones जहाँ पे white candle and then there is a red candle. So this is not a confirmation. We can ignore this part. Then again over here we can ignore. This is where it started moving a bit sideways. So यहाँ पे एक false information मिला था. But again, if you see the weighted moving average, which is above the price, if they are above the price, you can see the downside is definitely created. Okay, and then at this again we got a reconfirmation of the weighted moving average. It cut it and it closed downward. The next candle also did the same. Throughout this period, if you see the relative strength, it was definitely downside also. So it's just an indicator helping you out, but obviously your analysis that you've been in the market for a really long time, you may know that the zone जिस तरह से बन रहा है आप वो easily go through कर सकते हो by understanding the point of view from the price action, because understanding this is just the 20% of the signals. 80% is your price action. If you do it correctly, then your trades are definitely successful for sure. How to change color in price chart based on RSI? Milan sir, I will request you to give us a call on a landline number. One person can guide you related to this. They will make you understand the whole setup for the changing color part. Thank you, Deepak sir. Great. Now coming back to the daily time frame, you can switch this, but my strategy, which is provided, would be strictly on the daily time frame. Now moving to the technical query part. Sorry, giving you an example now. So I have an example. As you can see, we'll see ABB chart. ABB chart nicely. यहाँ पे एक zone मिला था. यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो. It was in a downside. Then here we saw the example that it turned upward. From this candle onwards, you can see the confirmation was nicely done. I can see from this candle onwards at 5414, I would have purchased the stock ABB. I had seen that the zone was created nicely till 6543. Very nicely zone. आप आराम से 1 week or 2 week में भी exit कर सकते हो because it's a daily. But if you see the stronger strategy it's getting created, तो आप उसको longer duration के लिए आराम से रख सकते हो without fail. and then again like this will be reconfirmation. आप अगर यहाँ पे entry miss out कर दिए, no worries, you can enter again over here in this particular candle zone, which was created again on the 11th of March 2026. A bit of sideways was created. अभी अगर आप यहाँ पे देखोगे तो next candle has not given me a confirmation yet, so this is still in the zone like करेक्शन बोल सकते हो, या फिर आप ऐसे बोल सकते हो थोड़ा साइडवेज हो रहा है, दैट्स फाइन, इट हैपेंस। लाइक ऐसा कोई भी चार्ट नहीं है जो कंटिन्यूसली एकदम ऊपर जा रहा होगा। इट विल गिव यू अ बिट ऑफ करेक्शन नाउ एंड देन, सो दैट इज व्हाट इट वाज क्रिएटेड। देन यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो वी गॉट अ reconfirmation, then you can see it was nicely created till here, till the 24th March, 24th April 2020, sorry, 22nd of the April 2026, till 7,700 and 7,822 was the high created. Let's take assume that you would have entered at this particular point. A good zone has been created till here. If I calculate my basically percentage return, if I had entered, देन हम इसके ओपन से लेके इसके हाई तक एक बार देखते हैं, तो ऑलमोस्ट 43% आपको मिल चुका था इन जस्ट क्विक स्पैन ऑफ टाइम with the help of the strategy. So as you can see, this has worked goodly on the daily time frame. This is what you can switch later on also, like on the weekly time frame also, so it works really well. This is the ABB chart. Now if I do Adani Enterprise, I can see Adani also. Like the zone has been nicely created for the downside. I will give you an example. जैसे यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे downside के लिए, if I see over here, I would have not entered. I would have missed the particular zone. But after seeing the relative strength turning positive from here, I might have entered. Might have. But that is again like a secondary, like आप chart को देख के अगर कुछ देख रहे हो कि strong momentum बन रहा है, then definitely would have entered sort of. तो यहाँ पे अगर मैं downside का बोलूँगी, तो इधर आपको सिग्नल मिला है, इधर कंफर्मेशन हुआ है, यहाँ पे आप ओपन पे बाय कर मतलब सेल करो बेसिकली इफ यू वुड हैव गॉन in this particular zone. Then 2097, so almost 1770 to 1753, this nicely good zone was created. And still, if you see for the upper side, the strong momentum is definitely there for the upward end as well. And यहाँ पे भी एक zone मिला था downside का. So that is basically in Adani Enterprise also a nice zone was created as well. So this is like 2-3 stocks that I had filtered throughout the week. Now we can go ahead with the strategy. Now for the strategy part, I can see in the settings, if I click on the load, and I'll have to come to the protected one. This is also known as the same super trend strategy instead of screen, and I'll just have to click on open. And then यहाँ पे आप कोई भी group पे ले लो. I'll click the query offset one, and यहाँ पे आपको daily buy and daily sell वाला relation मिल जाएगा. Okay, and then I'll just have to click on run. So once I click on run, I would be able to see the stocks that are filtering out on the daily time frame. The logic behind the white candle is basically it indicates you directly on the chart that the super trend has turned positive or negative. So वो आपको clarity आ जाएगी कि हाँ this is my signal candle. It awares you very quickly to understand. So I can see that's the stock that I had filtered, I've gotten filtered over here are the 4 stocks. I can see that the zone is created for the upward end. Now यहाँ पे सारा चीज mix and match करके हम इसको continue कर रहे हैं. तो आप देख सकते हो कि super trend weighted moving average giving me an indication, and my candle is closing nicely above the previous candle low. Previous candle close, so I can go ahead with the buying point of view. यहाँ पे you can see Oswald pumps as well, so यहाँ पे भी buying हो रही है. In the yesterday time frame, it has almost created the high of 427, well at opening at 400. So you can see 27 points, 27 rupees sort of zone was created. You will get the query, you'll have to download. I'll guide you later on once this is clear. So ये एक बार strategy का query का आपको समझ जाए, then I can guide you to download the query as well. and then SBIM. So this is 4 stocks. Now you don't have to filter out of like 50 stocks. Out of 743 also we got like 4 stocks. Usme se you have to pick and choose like correct one for your understanding, and obviously you would be also using your price action theory as well over here, so that will help you to understand a lot more better. Okay, now just I'll guide you how to download the strategy. So now download files में जाओ, override existing पे click करो, miscellaneous में चले जाओ, and then there will be a file name as 0606 webinar.zip. There will be a technical query and there will be a screen which will get downloaded. Okay, आपको just इस पे click करना है and download पे click करना है, and once it is fully downloaded आपको just query के tab में जाना है, relatives technical query में चले जाओ, in technical query click on the load button and then go to the protected site where you'll get the super trend strategy. If one person can download and verify, and can you just reply on the chat box so that I'll get an idea that you have received the query and the chart also, and the basically the screen of the webinar will be in load screen and then protected screen super trend strategy. So we've kept the both name as same so that it doesn't confuse you with the part. Kindly download the file and check now if you all have received it or not. Received. Okay. All right. Perfect. Kasi Rajan sir, you can use the strategy on the intraday time frame. That would be that you can switch according to your requirement. Yes. Yeah, there's a screen. Yes. Milind sir. It's a screen. Load screen पे click करिए. Okay. May I know like if there's any more questions, or we'll just launch the last poll. If there is any questions, kindly put in the chat box. How to change the time frame for stock selection? Please send strategy file. So you can download the strategy from the download file option. Download file miscellaneous server 1 पे check करो, and then click on the get file list and click on the get file list. So you'll see the file. Since it is protected, if it's protect, how to run in weekly? I like I said, you can use the chart properly. Like the strategy is purely created on the daily basis. All the doubts are clear. Thank you, Deepak sir. I hope Sanjay Sureka sir, you might have cleared the doubt because the query have created purely on the week daily time frame. You can switch the chart if you want to the daily time frame, weekly time frame, or intraday time frame. As we saw in the Nifty itself, I think we saw a good zone got created in the weekly also. Dilip sir will provide the query, the webinar recording later on. Sure, sir, Sanjay sir. You give us a call, we can make the query in the different time frames also. Pritesh sir, give us a call on the landline. Now we can clear your doubts related to the candle color. Okay, I hope all the doubts has been cleared. Tick or select. There is no boxes that you have to tick right now. It's just the group that you select on. You select a particular group as per your requirement. That could be maybe FNO group, and then you just have to click on the run part. Sorry, this is not the right technical query. I'll go to the protected Supertrend strategy, and then यहाँ पे आप group select करो, and then you just click on the run part. That's it. That's the only thing. Run after the end of the day and you'll get a result where like see the sell one in the sale has been created on the daily time frame now, so you can watch out this for Monday as well. The landline number is 022. I hope everyone has understood the strategy. If there's any more doubts, kindly reach out to the contact number given over here or the email ID that is provided. It can be used on the options as well, but I've mostly tested on the on the cash segment itself only. Okay, I think that's it for the today's webinar. Thank you all. Uh, if there's any doubts, kindly reach out on the contact number displayed on the screen.